And now back to Inside Track.
Good afternoon again, Southern Arizona. Francie and what's your name?
Tom Danahy. And I'm listening to Bruce Ash say that, like the Republicans have a mainstream agenda platform?
You know what?
Dude.
It was a hell of a lot more
parties.
mainstream than yours,
No,
buddy.
it's not. And,
okay.
I don't hold it.
Hey, ride that horse, baby. Ride that right up to November.
Okay, here
go
we go.
for it.
Emil, and I don't know about our guest. I really don't. I have no idea. And I know
You've
about
never
you.
met her before.
I know about you, but I would assume that among the three of us, I am the most overtly religious. How's that? I'm the one that goes to church every week. I'm just saying.
More so than me, sure.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. I honestly don't know about her, and we'll find out later. But I'm a Catholic. I'm a Christian. I lived my life according to Christianity. The Catholic Church has a big influence on me. I mean, since the time I was an infant.
Okay.
I've lived my entire life that way.
Okay.
I'm a Democrat.
Okay.
It bothers me zero if the Democratic platform doesn't mention God. I render unto Caesar what is Caesar's and unto God what is God's. I do not need the name God mentioned in my politics. I really don't.
Well, it's going to be whether you like it or not, because your president ordered your own convention not to count their votes when they said take it out, and not to count their votes when they wouldn't let them put it back in. And that's your real problem, because you're running down the road and you're following orders.
He's the head of the party.
Well, then we should do what he says.
Pretty much.
Oh, okay. I ain't never bought that one on my side, Tiger.
Furthermore, there's hardly anybody that is a bigger fan of Israel than I.
And,
but
and what's their capital?
Tel Aviv.
Well, the Israelis disagree with you.
Yeah. Well, they own Jerusalem now. They've had it for 40 years. And
they had it for a little while before that,
too. They had it for 40 years. They took it in
really?
1967 in the Six-Day War. I read the book.
Yeah.
It's in print, so it must be true.
That's good. Yeah, they took it back.
Took it back. From when?
Oh, I don't know, a couple thousand years ago.
Thousand years, yeah.
And along the way. And what was the majority population of Jerusalem in the 19th century up until under the Turkish Empire?
I have no idea.
Jewish.
Is it? Oh,
yeah.
That's fine. I honestly, and I'm one of those utopian people who believes that Jerusalem should be an open city.
Yeah, well, good. I don't. Israelis don't. We have a difference of opinion.
Yeah, that's fine.
And let's vote on it in November, and let's put your guys over here and my guys over there. And now let's talk to our guest.
Okay. If you insist.
Martha, think you can get a word in edgewise?
Hey, thanks for inviting
Martha
me
McSally,
back.
I think we all know what you're doing. You're running for Congress in CD2. Hey, I got to start it off with this one. How many times, Tom, and you and I need to talk about this, because you need to do something here, because I'd like you to call up my old friend, since he can't think of calling me, and he should have, because we actually are pretty good friends, and that's your Senate candidate, a guy named Dr. Richard Carmona. He'd make a good guest. I'd be happy to chat with him. But what I keep hearing about Carmona, okay, is he's such an outstanding candidate running against Flake, because he's had such one incredible personal resume of his personal history. And therefore, he's got a really good chance of beating Jeff and winning in a Republican state.
Hey, how many people do you know can shoot the bad guy and then fix his wounds? Huh? All right, then.
I'm not knocking it at all. I'm saying he is an exceptional candidate. He has an exceptional resume. So how come, you know where I'm going, don't you? The same rules don't apply to a congressional district where your basic Democrat hack slug is the congressman, and he's being, and the opponent, if we hadn't had that stupid vote at home crap we voted in for some, and you and I hate that as equally, would have probably been the Republican nominee in CD8 instead of Kelly last time around, since she beat him on Election Day. And how come Martha McSally, who has an incredible personal resume too, hasn't have just as good a chance of winning the congressional race that she's in as Dr. Carmona does of winning a Senate seat? Both of them have outstanding resumes.
So she's a girl. No.
Oh, for crying out loud! I've been hearing that argument since the day I entered the Air Force Academy.
Look how flat the top of her head is. It's from butting up against that glass ceiling. Come on.
Actually, I got some cuts in it from going right through it. Actually.
Anyway, that's my question, and I think it's a fair one.
Well, why aren't I haven't seen any ads for you at all on TV.
Just wait.
That's what I'm wondering. I mean, are they going to be along those lines? Because I mean, that's I've known about Richard Carmona. I've only met him a couple of times, but I've known about him for a long time. But those ads, I think they should have been out during the primary when Flake was fighting with Cardin. I think it would have probably been better for him. But at the same time, they're effective. I mean, they show, wow, what an impressive guy this is.
I agree.
Are yours going to be along those lines?
Yeah, we got 33 days till the early voting starts, but then you have another 30 days or less before Election Day. So to go up on TV and stay up on that whole period of time is actually quite expensive. So
yes, this wonderful idea called "Let's all vote early" is double the cost of running a campaign.
Exactly.
You got to run two of them.
Yeah,
basically.
in the old days, you used to go up on TV in the last few weeks and crescendo the week before, and now you need to do that essentially for an 8-week period of time because people are voting, starting October 11th all the way through November 6th.
And well, you know more about this than I. I'll grant you that. Are those two different kinds of people? The people who vote early and the people who go to the polls? I know I feel superior because I go to the polls.
I know I do too.
But
I'm not quite sure what the difference is, but there is one because they do tend to vote differently. But why you wouldn't hang on to your ballot to the last minute, knowing about all the last minute stuff that happens, like
October
candidates,
surprises.
Candidates who die in plane crashes, candidates who get caught with dead boys or live girls or whatever, candidates who put their foot in their mouth real big. That's a minor development. And in some cases, candidates who I always like to talk about Minnesota, where
Wellstone, was that his name?
No, that was one. Minnesota's had a couple of good ones, but the one before that was when Rudy Pepich was governor, 90, I believe, and the Republican primary nominated a guy who got caught basically in a hot tub with some teenage girls about 3 weeks out.
I remember that.
Okay, and the Republican Party landed all. It was kind of like Aiken. Okay, the Republican Party landed, except this guy finally said, "To hell with that, I'm out of here," and he resigned the nomination 2 weeks back. Now somehow the state of Minnesota was able to. The Republican State Committee met. They picked another guy. They ran him, and they got the ballots out. Okay, they were able to print the ballots and get them out, even though some absentees had already been cast. But they went ahead and gave the guy a shot, and his name was Arne Olson, and he was the 2-term governor of Minnesota, which might want to tell you a lot about how bad off Rudy Pepich was about 1990. But my point is, there's something that happened 2 weeks behind. How did you know that was going to happen? I hold on to my ballot. I was around Chicago too long, buddy. I don't let those guys hold my ballot any longer than necessary because I've watched that crap. So, in fact, I'll maybe get an at-home ballot. I know Grandma is now that she's 96. But she fills it out, and we take it to the polls on Election Day, all right? And that's when, if you want to vote early, that's fine, but don't give it to them yet.
So how's the campaign going?
It's going great. We're within 5 points of Mr. Barber, even though he's a new congressman, just won by 7 points, should be in his honeymoon period. And so that effect that Emil just talked about, I think, is really out there. The June election was about serving out Gabby Gifford's term, and her staffer that she endorsed is who the people in Southern Arizona picked. But November really is about the future. It's a fresh opportunity to look at who do we want to represent us, to go to D.C., to not be bickering the way you guys did at the beginning of the show, but actually getting things done, fighting for the people of Southern Arizona, standing up, leading, doing the right thing, tirelessly working for our interests, tirelessly working to get people back to work, get businesses back in order, get our economy back on track, secure our border. It's about picking the right person for the future, and that's what we offer.
This is me. If they'd have had ADHD or ADD when I was a kid, I would have been the poster child, okay?
I'm sure.
But fortunately, they didn't. So I was just, eccentric. But so I'm going off on a tangent. I have to say this.
Well, you always do.
If there's anybody out there who didn't get choked up watching Gabrielle Giffords do the Pledge of Allegiance, you're dead. I mean, was that the most... I mean, everybody, there wasn't a dry eye in the place, and I almost teared up. I mean, what did you think? I know you probably didn't even watch it. Hater. What about you?
You guys crack me up.
I did miss it. No, I did. I wasn't home at that particular point, and I don't have a TV set in my car.
They have like YouTube, or it's online.
No, I went back and watched it later.
Oh, okay.
I did, and I thought it was a very moving and interesting. Unfortunately, the part that would keep me from crying, except for a different reason, was standing next to Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who I happen to think is a moron, but that's okay.
Well, anyway, but bless her heart, and you can see why she resigned. Obviously.
Oh yeah.
I mean.
Oh yeah.
She's obviously struggled with the words and
may come back from it. It's kind of like having a stroke.
I mean, and you've got to remind ourselves. I mean, we've been through a horrible tragedy, and it's an amazing miracle that she is where she is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really her example of courage and strength, even in her recovery, is one for all of us. And so, we need to continue to keep everybody in our prayers because this is still impacting our community, and she is certainly an example and an inspiration, even in standing up and doing that. But now we're talking about the future.
Okay, speaking of the future, so do you think the best way to get America out of its rut is to give rich people more money? Yes or no?
I think the best way to get America out of
How do you
rut,
give them more money?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, let them keep their own? Is that what you're saying?
Let them keep more of their own
let
money.
them keep more of their own
Let
money.
them keep
I'm
more
for
of their
letting
own
everybody keep more of their own money. How's that grab
Really?
you?
Everybody?
Yeah, I am.
Everybody.
Yeah, everybody should get to keep more of their own money. How about that?
Okay, I'm asking her.
Okay. We have got to get the fiscal curve going in the right direction. I mean, the way to solve our problem right now is to show fiscal discipline and to get the economy growing again. I mean, you saw the jobs report yesterday. We are gone through over 40 months of over 8% unemployment. We have small businesses that are not hiring. We have small businesses that are not spending their money, and investing. And so our growth, our GDP is still continuing to stagnate. We're not putting people back to work, and we cannot continue to sustain over a $1 trillion deficit. And so we have got to have a pro-growth, pro-small business, put some certainty back into the economic situation so people feel like I can spend my money again. I can hire some more people. That's what we need to be focusing on right now. We could tax the top rate at 100% and still not solve our fiscal problems. So that's not it's not gonna fix it.
All right, we're gonna take a break. Greg, Charles, hang on. We'll be back.
Inside Track will be right back. And now back to Inside Track.
Hi there, we're back. Martha McSally, Republican candidate, and CD2 is with us for this hour, and we've got 3 callers in a row. So let's start with Greg. Thanks for holding.
Good afternoon, folks. I got a quick question I'd just like to get your opinion on. If this guy gets another 4 years, do you think he's going to give a damn if we have the Congress or the Senate? Because he's an executive order anything and everything he wants. By the time he's done, we're looking at probably 75% of the country is going to be on food stamps. How are we ever going to recover after that?
God, he's such an evil, bad person,
Oh, God, he has no soul. You're right. He is evil.
Gee whiz, dude. I don't understand this. I've been through this before. I didn't like Nixon. I didn't like Reagan. I really didn't like George W. Bush. I have never in my life said, I hate that president. People right now hate Obama, and there's no rational reason for hating him. You might dislike his politics. You might dislike his policies. You might dislike his wife.
I don't mind it. I don't have nothing against his wife, Tom. He's consciously trying to destroy this country.
Really? The President of the United States, in a Robert Ludlum novel, is trying to destroy the government.
And it is mathematically impossible, because as you've always told me, math is my friend.
It is.
It'll mathematically impossible that you ever would have an evil person elected president. That can't happen.
No.
The system will not allow it, right?
Absolutely.
Couldn't happen.
So
maybe it is mathematically possible that what this guy thinks is good for us isn't. And that some of us think it's really going to screw things up really, really, really bad.
So you as a rational person, Emil, and Greg, you believe this is the Manchurian candidate here.
Tom, he promised to have his health care on C-SPAN as transparent as can be so we all can look at it and come to our own conclusions. He hid every damn bit of it, Tom. This guy is pure evil.
Okay.
I'm done talking. This is insane.
Well,
dude.
I think he's pure power hungry, or he wouldn't ignore everything and issue executive orders. And if we had any guts in Congress, they'd cut off the money and force the issue.
But that would require Congress to act.
It would. It would.
Yeah.
No, it would require the Senate to do something besides take orders.
Oh, that's true, but the House doesn't. The House is pure. The
Excuse
Senate
me.
is
Excuse me.
perfect.
The House passes a budget. The Senate can't bother. How do you compromise something when one side won't even put it on the table?
Let's see what Charles has to ask for our guest.
Tom, if you want to see exactly the roadmap to what the previous caller was talking about, at noon
Bang
tomorrow-
my head on the wall several times, and it'll become clear.
No. And you like reading books. Relax, Tom. You like reading books. There's a magnificent one by Stanley Kurtz, and that'll be on tomorrow at noon on the station you're on right now, and it will give...
And whose show would that be on, perhaps, Charles?
Yeah, right. Well, I didn't call for that, but it was the answer to the question. Martha, I have two questions for you. Number one, federally, suppressors, some people call them silencers, are heavily regulated, but they're completely legal in the states. Some of the 13 states make them illegal, but in the country and in the free parts of the United States, they're completely legal. But they're very heavily regulated, the same as machine guns. And, by the way, the same guy that invented the firearm suppressor, or moderator as they were known then, also invented the car muffler. And so would you be in favor if a bill came before Congress to either to deregulate them totally as just a piece of pipe, or to regulate them as ordinary firearms as opposed to as machine guns? Would you be in favor of that?
I don't mean to laugh. I know I'm a strong supporter of the Second Amendment, and I'm just trying to make sure I understand the context of your question. You're saying right now there is a federal law that does regulate them?
Yeah, it's the 1934 National Firearms Act, yes. They've been regulated the same as machine guns and short-barreled shotguns. Some people call them sawed-off. They're not really, but most of them are not sawed-off. They're made that way. But anyway, I digress. Suppressors, machine guns, and short-barreled rifles and shotguns are all legal, but they're heavily regulated. You have to pay a $200 tax on them. It's called a tax stamp. And you can't transport them very far. You can't transport them out of your own state without notifying the federal government. They're very heavily regulated. And a silencer is nothing more than the same technology as a car muffler screwed onto the end of a rifle or a handgun in some cases. It depends on, how you apply it. Right. It's perfectly legal, for instance, now in Arizona to hunt with a suppressor, which has changed that law this year. Many states are looking at it because it limits hearing damage, because most people won't wear earmuffs when they're hunting. Anyway.
But that's a state issue.
Well, it's a state issue, but they're federally regulated. The states can issue more regulations on top of what the federal government does. But currently, the federal government treats silencers as if they were a firearm.
Yeah, got it.
And actually as if they were a machine gun.
All right, Charles, I'm going to make this easy for her. I don't even think silencers should be regulated.
Wow.
So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that's how
I think the guns should, but the silencers shouldn't.
That sounds totally reasonable. Obviously, before I vote or sign on to anything, I'd like to read it, unlike most members of Congress, but that sounds totally reasonable to me.
Okay, that's number one. Number two is, do you believe that a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution would go several steps towards fiscal sanity and be a good thing to do for the United States?
Absolutely. I think we have got to put some boundaries on Congress so that they don't continue to be showing the recklessness and spending beyond their means. And that amendment would at least tie their hands so that they have to actually balance the budget every year.
Charles, there would be exceptions to that, though, right?
Exceptions to what?
A balanced budget.
In time of declared war,
exactly.
or in time of a two-thirds override by both houses of Congress, or maybe a three-quarters override in a declared national emergency. For instance, if, God forbid, we were attacked by electromagnetic pulse or something and we needed to rebuild the country, sure, okay, you go into debt. If you have to do it, you do it.
Exactly.
If somebody bombs Pearl Harbor, you go into debt.
Okay.
I mean, I get it.
However, the Star would still put stickers on top of the headlines. You'd have to peel them off to find out who it was that part that said bomb Pearl Harbor.
Well, it was awful when those Germans bombed Pearl Harbor last time, after all.
I couldn't guess that one either. I had to do that. Sorry, Charles.
Yeah, I saw a movie one time where a kid says, Pearl Harbor bombed? I thought that movie made money.
See you guys.
All right, thanks for your
Charles,
question.
that's awful. That was a good one. The only thing I was going to say about another thing about silencers, if they were allowed and were more prevalent and were $200, we wouldn't have had to close the Tucson Rod and Gun Club because everybody was bitching about the noise.
What, the one up by Sabino Canyon? Yeah, I agree.
You'd have been able to keep it quiet.
Okay, and being a physics guy, do they have any effect whatsoever on the trajectory of the bullet or the riflings?
I actually think they slow it down a little.
Do they? Okay,
Yeah.
That's just wondering.
Yeah, I have to go back because
But they don't. I mean, they don't mess up with the trajectory, right?
I don't think
Actually,
so.
ballistics.
I don't know.
Okay.
So we'll have to call back. We've got a bunch of calls coming here. So who's
Dang.
next up?
It was
Ron.
Ron. Yes.
Ron, you're up.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm Emil. Hi, long time no speak. I spoke to you years and years ago when you were
Oh, yeah, on one of the other stations.
right.
All
when
four
you
of
were
them.
Still doing Windows.
There you go.
And you got so big apparently now that you are not doing Windows anymore.
That's it.
Anyway, Emil. First of all, I would like to make a comment about the telephone conversation that we're having now. We're having a hard time hearing your guest, and even you when you are talking to your guest over the phone. Something is wrong over there at the station, I would assume. And since you have the genius with the 1,000 fingers, quick fingers, maybe he can help you fix it.
Oh, okay. We'll look into that.
I'm actually in the studio. Can you hear me okay right now?
Somewhat.
Somewhat.
Better. In any case, Martha, I have a question for you. You just went through a debate and fight with Kelly when you ran the first time, and you were quite abrasive towards him. Now, I would like to know one thing, that since you won and you may or may not get into the office, what assures us that you will not be the fox in sheep's clothing? Because as I know, many of the best generals that came out of the military were not the best politicians. And I can give you some examples only, like Moshe Dayan, Yitzhak Rabin, and some others, that they were excellent in the battlefield, but when they got into politics, they stunk. So, since you are going to be under the Republican Party, are you going to stick to the Republican issues and not be like, what's his name, McCain?
Okay, let's let her go.
Yeah, Ron, thanks for your question. And by the way, I wasn't a general. I was only a colonel, so I think maybe I have different qualifications there. I mean, I can only say to the voters that look at my record. I served 26 years in the military. I was promoted 2 years ahead of my peers to major and 2 years ahead of my peers to lieutenant colonel. So I was in, what the Air Force would say is a top 1 or 2% on track to be a general. And at that time, I was standing up against a policy that the Pentagon had, making our U.S. servicewomen wear Muslim garb when off base in Saudi Arabia. After 6 years of trying to get this policy changed, I filed litigation, McSally versus Rumsfeld. Put my career on the line because my oath of office is only to the Constitution of the United States to protect it against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I take that very seriously. The oath of office of a congresswoman is the same exact wording as the oath of office of an officer. So here I was on track to be a senior leader, which also can be quite political in the military, by the way. And I stood up and put my career on the line, stood up against the establishment because of what I believe was right. Basically lit myself on fire, sort of, philosophically, and stood there in the ground by myself and wouldn't back down. I then used what I learned when I was a congressional fellow, and as I was working its way through the courts, I wrote legislation, I got sponsors from the Democrats and the Republicans, and I shepherded this thing through in the House and the Senate and got it signed into law in an 8-year battle. I mean, I have shown in my past that when I got to stand up against the establishment, I have no problem doing it. And the people of Southern Arizona are looking to send someone to Congress who is going to fight for them, who's going to protect their interests, stand up for what's right, and do the right thing even when the establishment's trying to tell them to do something, otherwise. So I've already shown in my past that I'm willing to do that, and that's why I'm running, and that's why I'm going to win.
All right. Thank you for the answer to that one, Martha. And we're going to grab a break, and we'll be back. And I think the next one up is Gary.
Inside Track will be right back. And now back to Inside Track.
Okay, we're back with Martha McSally. Our next caller is Gary in Bisbee. Hi, Gary.
Hello, and thank you, Martha McSally, for your service. And it's very inspirational to know that you're fighting in fighter jets.
Thanks, Gary.
My question to you is kind of not related to what you're facing ahead, but if you were to get elected, just a question in trying to get elected, why do Democrats want restrictions placed on corporations being people and not carry this over to unions not being people? Because unions take their union dues to support political parties.
You're talking about the restrictions on campaign financing and funding to super PACs?
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not focused on that right now. I mean, I got 59 days to win this election, and I mean, the rules are what they are right now, and so we're trying to get out to the community and get a level of excitement and momentum for the people that are out there who can invest in my campaign to do that, which is, individually $2,500 maximum. So my focus right now is on that. It's not necessarily I'm trying to, study the recent court rulings on the funding to the super PACs. It's a fair question, perhaps, and I'd be willing to look into it, but I'm not focused on it.
It wasn't the super PACs question as much as it was of a stare decisis decision based on about 130 years of Supreme Court cases on what was the status of a corporation.
Right.
Now, we've discussed that before that ruling ever came down, and I was overwhelmed by the original thought. But if you want an activist court, they'd be overturning 130 years of court cases.
Yeah.
And when you issue, Gary, a corporate charter, you grant people certain privileges. Now tell me how you repeal them. You can't arbitrarily do that. They have some rights at that point.
Although, Gary, as just like on a street level, as a Democrat, I would gladly muzzle unions if corporations were equally muzzled. So...
I would respect that. One quick question after this. After what we saw happening at the convention, of the Democratic convention, of the split vocal vote and the other things that happened, do you feel that those Democrats felt disenfranchised enough to become Romney Democrats?
Is that question for me?
It's for anybody who wants it.
Well, I mean, a convention where things don't go perfectly, that's a breath of fresh air to me. Mm-mm. I mean, these things are so tightly orchestrated, except they let Clint Eastwood sneak in. I love Clint Eastwood. And when I heard that he was going to speak at the Republican thing, I said, dang, dude, 'cause I love Clint Eastwood. And then he did that, and it was like, I still love Clint Eastwood. But
well, what I wanted to focus on is, those people, half of those people that were on the yays and nays, they were disenfranchised. If it was not 3/4 of a vote, then they were one.
I didn't even think they had a majority listening to it from, but then the point being, it was a Chicago railroad, and I don't know how anybody can be proud of it. And the guy who really is the victim of it is the mayor of Los Angeles, because can't you see when he runs for governor in 2 years in the Democratic primary, his opponent's television spots. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary.
Thanks.
All right, let's go to Susan.
Hello.
Thanks for holding.
Oh, no problem. This question's for Sally. Martha, excuse me. Are you going to debate Ron Barber?
Absolutely. We love to debate him on multiple occasions. We now have one only that his staff has confirmed that he will attend of the multiple requests that we have gotten and agreed to. And that's going to be in Sierra Vista. I don't have the exact date in front of us, but there have been multiple requests that came in. We believe the voters in Southern Arizona deserve a discussion on the issues and a conversation with their two potential candidates. And so we look forward to debating as often as people are willing to host debates. And that's our position.
And I would hope.
I hope that you give him heck because he needs to be accounted for.
Susan,
Yeah.
and this is for you too, Tom, in the fine tradition of a great Arizona Democratic Congressman, Morris King Udall, he always debated his opponents.
Okay, well,
And I don't know, and what I've had since, and when you weasel out of it, like I think Barbara's doing, you're telling me something, okay?
You're gonna You're gonna have it in Sierra Vista? Are you guys?
So that's the first one that he's agreed to. Again, we've had multiple requests so far. I think 5 or 6 that we've agreed to, and at least 2 of them have been canceled because his staff either didn't get back or they didn't agree to it. And so there's other requests that have come in, and we basically have said we will debate anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, that's a normal. That's a normal for a challenger.
Yeah.
But a gutless incumbent plays it by the book and says we're going to duck all debates to make sure there's absolutely no ability to screw that up. And I remember there were some guys who've always said up yours, we're going to do it anyway, and one of them was Mo Udall.
Yeah. So, but if you go to Sierra Vista, are you guys going to carpool, you and Barber?
Yeah, perhaps.
That'd be cool.
Okay.
Yeah. And a
that's
smart car.
That's so we can get all his notes in order because I don't think he's got a chance with you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
Thank you,
that.
Susan.
I mean, we definitely are. There's a difference in our profiles, and there's a difference in our messages,
and your height,
and our. Well, no, we're about the same
I'm
height,
just
aren't
kidding.
we?
Yeah.
So, but you know
You're
what?
taller, aren't you?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
We're gonna have different messages on a number of different things. I mean, he, for the most part, keeps voting with Grijalva on a number of different things, and I don't think the people of Southern Arizona are looking for the Grijalva-Barber voting bloc. But there's going to be several things actually we do agree on, whether it's protection of Davis-Monthan and Fort Huachuca, bringing the F-35 here, veterans care, making sure that we're empowering small businesses and those types of things. We may agree on those, but the reality is because of my experience, my education, my understanding of these issues at a strategic level, I don't need a staffer writing up a paper on these issues. I can speak to them personally, and I know how to fight for them for the people of Southern Arizona.
Sean, your turn.
Hi, Colonel.
Hi.
Tom's little hero was on TV, and he's explained something to me that I probably agree with. We don't have a political problem in this country. We have a math problem in this country. When Charles called and said you said that you would support a balanced budget amendment based on where we're at fiscally, and that every single bit of tax money that we collect in this country is pledged to entitlements and interest payments on the debt. Could you explain to me how you're going to how anybody, not you personally, how anybody can pull $1.2 trillion out of our budget right now?
Yeah, exactly. Again, this is a complex issue, and as you know, and many people don't know, is we're over $1 trillion deficit every single year. We can't sustain this path. We just went over $16 trillion debt. So what we do need to do is have a pro-growth environment. I mean, right now we've got such uncertainty because we don't know, businesses don't know what the tax structure is going to be. They don't know if there's more government mandates coming down. They don't know how big the government's going to grow. So nobody's hiring, nobody's spending, and that uncertainty is continuing to keep revenue down so that we're suppressing growth, we're suppressing hiring jobs. We have less people in the job market right now than in the last 30 years. Only 66% of people that are eligible to work are actually working right now. So we've got to have a pro-growth environment, and that in itself is going to be able to increase our revenue, obviously. We have to also show some fiscal discipline. We've got to look at everything the federal government is spending your hard-earned taxpayer dollar on and figure out how we can save that money. And that's going to be both in defense, in non-defense, discretionary funding, and we have to figure out how to bring the cost of healthcare down so it doesn't bankrupt our country and our people. And we got to look at protecting and securing Medicare and Social Security for our current seniors and for future generations. I'm not just throwing out sound bites here. I mean, these are complex issues. We got to sit down together. We got to do the math, take out the pencil, across the aisle, bipartisan. America's future is at stake, and figure out how to solve this problem so that we can not be on the downturn here. Our nation's prosperity is at stake, our national security is at stake, and we can't sustain on this particular fiscal path we're on.
So you're telling me you don't want Tea Party backing? Because they don't believe in working across the aisle.
You know
they
what?
don't.
I believe in representing the people of CD2, and that's what my job description will be, and that's what I'm applying for, is to represent the people here, go to D.C., fight for their interests, and solve these complex problems.
Which Tea Party are you talking about? Because any three guys in a bar can declare they are one. There's no centralized...
Yeah, it's those guys. Those are the ones I'm talking about.
Okay, fine.
Sean, I have a question for you before you leave.
Go ahead.
Is there a living American who could beat Bill Clinton in an election?
Right now?
Right now.
My personal, again, some people don't understand me very well, but my personal opinion is no.
I don't think so either.
I don't.
You know, it'd be fun to see a Clinton-Reagan election.
Reagan's not alive.
I know. I'm just saying.
Why don't we throw in Teddy Roosevelt, or better yet, Brian Keith, who played him so well?
No, I know. I'm just saying. I don't think any living American could beat Bill Clinton in an election right now.
I mean, if you're going to pull out dead people, the last true American president, I would actually, and you guys will all think I'm crazy. The last one we had that actually fought for America, I think, is John F. Kennedy. He would slaughter Clinton. He was just as dirty, just as nasty, had better-looking women by a long shot. I mean, by leaps and bounds, had better-looking women. He would beat Clinton, I don't know, 85-15, I think.
All right, Sean.
Thank you,
That's
John.
a great
Have a
ending.
great
Quit
day.
while you're ahead, buddy. Thanks for the call.
Oh, my God.
Let's grab the break now. Gordon, Laurie, and Man in Black, hang on.
Inside Track will be right back. Now back to Inside Track.
We're back.
Did you run out of American music?
We got a full board in
What's
10
wrong with
minutes, so
Commander
let's
Cody?
move. All right, Gordon, you got the first 2.5. Go for it.
Hey, good afternoon, folks. Ms. McSally, I got to tell you up front, in the primary election, I didn't vote for you, and I didn't vote for the other guy. I left it blank. Both of you were zeros. In my opinion, nothing. You won the primary. Tell me how you're going to get me and all the other Republicans to the polls. Because if you don't get us to the polls, you aren't going to be elected. Look at what happened to Mr. Kelly. How are you going to get me and my wife, my 3 sons, and their wives to the polls to vote for you?
Well, because you're going to be at the polls anyway, Gordon, and we all know it, voting for somebody else. So knock off that part of the argument. What is there that she isn't doing that you would want her to so she can respond to a real question?
I want her to know how she's going to get the vote out.
Huh?
How is she going to get the vote out? Is she
You didn't
going
ask
to
that. You asked that about yourself. You said you didn't vote for her in the primary. Now, how do you plan to vote for her? And then you want to know
I still
why
don't know if I'm going to vote. I may leave it blank yet.
Why?
And Emil, I'm quite serious about this.
I understand that, Gordon. I've known you for years. Tell me what your problem is.
I want her to get the vote out. Tell me what you're going to do to get the vote for you.
Gordon, this is a team effort. I mean, we have got to work together. This is about, I'm stepping up to serve, to represent the interest of this district. And so we need people to be volunteering, to helping us, walk in neighborhoods, getting on the phone. We need people to come work in our headquarters. We need people to make an investment in our campaign so that we can get my message out on television, radio, and mailing. I mean, this is about creating a contrast between the other option, Mr. Barber, and myself. And so I don't know exactly why you feel like...
Can you do busing and other things? Can you provide transportation, et cetera, for people, to do things? Because I noticed with Mr. Kelly, I thought he had something going, but he failed abysmally because the Republican turnout was less than anything.
It was, but also 20% of Republicans actually voted for Barber instead of Kelly. So those that turned out actually crossed over. So this is a team effort between, honestly, the state party, the county party, and all the different candidates to try and encourage people that, hey, this is part of our responsibility, our country and our community at a very serious time, and we have got to get our voices heard. We have got to get out to vote. If we're going to, just as a technical point, if my campaign is going to provide transportation, we got to pay for it. And this is a matter of people providing investments and donations. So we're not going that far right now, but we're trying to inspire people. Do you care about what's going on? Do you want the economy turned around? Do you want the border secure? We got to get you to get out and vote.
I haven't seen any advertisement. I haven't seen anything. I see the pro bono advertising on television for Ron Barber every single place.
Yep.
You know, and Gabrielle Giffords was on. And then, of course, it was alluded that Ron Barber, blah, 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 replaced her. And you are sitting down there basically in the mud.
Yeah, Gordon, this is, again, I've learned a lot in my new political career, but we're less, 33 days from the early vote going out and, less than 60 days from the election. So we have been in get out to the community, build the team, and fundraise so that we can get my message out is what
Gordon,
our focus has been.
I got 6 minutes left, and I'm going to give you a chance
to... nails and claw yourself to the top.
Hey, I'm a fighter. Right. I'm going to fight for the seat, and I'm going to fight for the people of Southern Arizona.
Thank you, Gordon. You'll have more opportunities to respond to her at a later date because she's coming back. All right, let's go to Lori.
Hey, Martha.
Hey, Lori.
Tom.
Hello.
Hey, Tom. Hey, Emil.
Yes.
Very quickly, I have called Ron Barber's office on behalf of the Sabino Teenage Republicans probably close to 10 times and have yet to get a response. I've even asked that Luke Knight be put on as a moderator. So it feels, Tom, fair and balanced. I think Barber owes it to the constituents of CD2 to hear both Martha and him up on stage.
I agree.
And I don't understand why he's running like a chicken. I really don't.
Because his handlers told him to.
Absolutely. And as far as Gordon's remark, Gordon, write out a check or come in and make some phone calls. And, get out the vote is not Martha's job. Martha is the candidate.
Although someday we may be talking about the Martha McSally shirt tail effect. How she
coattail.
Coattail, is that what it is? Coattail?
Coattail.
Yes.
Coattail?
Yeah. In her case,
how she pulled people out for other things. Maybe that might happen. Anyway, real quick, I agree that he should debate as many times as possible. Like you said, Mo Udall would meet you anywhere.
Yeah,
sure, but the media will not cover it. I mean, the media won't ask him when they have him at these social events. And when, why won't you debate your candidate?
We got to have the limpest bunch of turkeys I have ever seen in the history of this community covering this campaign. When I am told that the highlight, apparently, of the Republican National Convention was that Garland Cox was seated behind a wall, and he wasted a quarter of his column on that. Get a clue.
Although, Laura, you have to understand. One of the scariest phrases in the English language is Sabino teen Republicans, okay? That is kind of scary.
No, it's not, Tom. Not if you actually want to get, because unlike a lot
Knock it
of
off,
people,
Tom. You went to the debate.
I like those kids. They're nice kids. I was just kidding.
Lori, I got to move on. Thank you. Let's go to Mark.
Well, finally, guys, I guess we'll wrap it here. I'm going to be.
No, I got one more after you. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. Well, anyway. I just wanted to say that Martha does have my vote. I met her, and I am fairly impressed. And any chance I got to vote for a pilot is always a pretty good one.
Awesome.
So,
thanks, Mark.
I'm going to give her a chance here to say something dramatic. So she probably knows the line that there are old pilots and bold pilots, but there's no old, bold pilot. So I want to know what her most bold proposal will be in Congress of any sort. I don't even... The limit is off. You can go anywhere you want. One of mine would be, doing away with income tax or something like that order. You have a bold proposal?
My bold proposal is actually to stand up for what's right and to fight for the people that I'm representing and to represent my district to Washington instead of represent Washington to my district. I know that sounds like a little novel thought, but that's exactly what I plan to do. It's why I served my country for 26 years, and it's why I'm stepping up to serve and take the same oath of office again. There's lots of things that we're dealing with, and we need to be smart and bold and sorting out and solving these problems together.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you one here that you can use. Feel free to have stolen it from me here. And that's
all right.
The only glass ceiling that you haven't penetrated is the canopy of the H10, right?
Yeah, thank God. My engines were always working for me, and I never had to do that.
Because I know there's actually a big cutter thing on the top of the seat that actually cuts it open and.
Yeah, the canopy breaker. Yeah, well, if you've got to get out manually, use the canopy breaker tool. But
right,
as you eject, the canopy blows first. So I've never had to do that.
You had to practice with that thing?
No, you didn't have to practice ejecting, but you.
No, I mean,
the canopy breaker tool. Yeah, but you didn't actually break through because you didn't want to destroy.
That would be horrible, wouldn't it?
Taxpayer money.
All right, good luck.
Thanks,
all
Mark.
right, thanks a lot, Mark.
Minute and a half. Quinn, go.
Colonel?
Yes. Call me Martha.
Your reputation speaks volumes. In my small household, you've got 7 boats and they're already in the bank.
Awesome.
And in case you don't win, don't give up politics. There's always McCain.
Oh, geez.
Emil,
yes,
I
sir.
just want to tell you, I think that island the president gave away was in the Aleutian Islands and the Bering Straits, I think just west of Adak, if I'm not mistaken.
We're going to have to look that up. I appreciate it, Quinn.
Okay, God bless you all.
Hey, thanks for your support. And there's no talking about if we don't win. It's about us working together right now and getting us to victory on November 6th.
Yeah, I'm amazed at the number of supposed pundits and supposed reporters who are sitting here looking like for some reason, of course, they're all Democrats and they're all, that may have something to do with it, or in most of the cases, who have written off. And they think Barbara's a shoo-in. And there's one guy I know that knows better, and that's Barbara. Otherwise, he'd come out and debate. Why would he care?
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, it's funny, because they're already coming out swinging. Like, Martha's against the middle class. I had to laugh because, I'm in the middle class. How can I be against the middle class? I mean, it's all about getting our people back to work and getting us back on track. I mean, come on. Let's not use the typical lines
the
coming out of the
website
national
all
parties.
Of your signs one time.
MarthaMcSally.com.
That's
I need
easy.
your support. Team up. We need your volunteering. We need your money, and we need your votes. So thanks for jumping on board.
And you will be back.
I will.
All right. That's a promise. We'll have you back. All right. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for the
Thanks
next
for having
hour. Thank you very much, Martha.
Inside Track will be right back.